Few people today remember J. Edgar Hoover growing up, but even fewer don't even know him. And while scores of books, publications, and films have been made about him because of his peculiar nature, the historic significance of J. Edgar Hoover's professional life is of grave historic consequence. How one man, an unelected career bureaucrat, became the closest dictatorial figure that the United States has ever seen. J. Edgar Hoover was born in Washington, D.C. in 1895 and ended up spending his entire life in D.C., which probably wasn't the best thing for him or the country, it turns out. Hoover was 18 when he accepted his first job, an entry-level position as a messenger in the Orders Department at the Library of Congress. The experience would prove vital to shaping Hoover's behaviors throughout his life, writing, "This job trained me in the value of collating material. It gave me an excellent foundation for my work in the FBI, where it was necessary to collate information and evidence." And in 1917, Hoover got his law degree and immediately was hired by the Justice Department to work in the War Emergency Division, which was also exempted from the military draft. He soon became the head of the division's Alien Enemy Bureau, created by President Woodrow Wilson at the beginning of World War I, which was set up to arrest and jail disloyal foreigners without trial. So much for due process. By August 1919, the 24-year-old Hoover became head of the Bureau's investigation's new General Intelligence Division. Its goal was to monitor and disrupt the work of domestic radicals that were a threat to the state. And at the remarkable age of 29, J. Edgar Hoover completed his meteoric rise through the levels of government when Calvin Coolidge appointed him 5th Director of the Bureau of Investigation, the precursor to the FBI, which Hoover would go on to formally establish in 1935. And Hoover wasted no time in amassing power with drastic actions. In fact, Hoover got rid of all female employees at the FBI with the reasoning women didn't make good agents due to their, quote, unpredictable nature, he was reported to say. And President Franklin Delano Roosevelt further empowered Hoover when he granted him unchecked powers of surveillance concerning Nazi agents in the United States, a power he would no doubt exploit during his reign for purposes greater than tracking Nazis. Firmly ensconced in the federal government, Hoover would use his skills of organizing information back from his days at the Library of Congress to compile and track information, especially tawdry dirt on the most powerful people in the country: media figures, political activists, athletes, politicians, and virtually all presidents. Hoover's obsession with gathering the goods on people, combined with his vice obsession, allowed him to compile one of the largest, let's say, adult content collections in the world. Hoover's agents all over the country were ordered to send him any obscene material they got their hands on, as well as any dirt they found on powerful people. That includes many pictures of powerful people caught in, let's say, compromising positions. This approach, combined with the unprecedented surveillance apparatus Hoover created, made him blackmailer-in-chief, and every president was petrified of what Hoover had on them. From Kennedy to LBJ to Nixon, they dared not challenge J. Edgar Hoover. Even President Harry Truman in the 1940s knew his power when he said, quote, "We want no Gestapo or secret police. The FBI is tending in that direction. They're dabbling in the sex life scandals and plain blackmail. J. Edgar Hoover would give his right eye to take over, and all congressmen and senators are afraid of him." Unquote. Hoover was untouchable and had virtually unchecked power to rule as he saw fit. And the one fact that stands out to illustrate just how powerful Hoover was during his 4-decade reign, the fact that Congress never held one hearing on the FBI's budget. That's right, the elected representatives of the people were too afraid. The man who took an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution for his entire life employed unconstitutional measures such as illegal surveillance tactics, wiretapping, burglaries, and other abuses of power to capture information in order to blackmail the civilian officials charged with overseeing him. It's no wonder J. Edgar Hoover is considered the closest thing to an unelected dictator in the annals of American history.